Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. 18 pellet double-aught buck, true 33 cal in 10 gauge. That is the factory 10 gauge buckshot load, and believe it or not, I've never fired one. Let alone I've never even bought a box of the Federal stuff. Because it's expensive. I'm talking $26.99 or sometimes more for 5 rounds. I can load it a lot cheaper than that. Some of my Federal 10 gauge holes were actually given to me by a local gun shop, about 40, 50 of them I want to say, about a year ago. So those were free, and all the ones that I purchased, I happened to get lucky on Gunbroker, and either very few or nobody else bid on them, so I got them relatively cheap, more than what I would like to pay, but that's the way it goes, especially with 10 gauge holes. They're so hard to come by right now because the only ones you can get are Shadats. Federal's not putting out any right now, and neither Remington. I really wish that they would step up their game and put out some hauls for us, especially in 10 and 3.5 inch 12 gauge. 10 gauge wads are actually fairly cheap, especially the TPS wads. It's $13.99 for a bag of 100. That's not bad. This press here was originally a 12 gauge press. I bought this one from my friend Zach for 40 bucks. It's brand new in the box, never used, and I converted it to 10 gauge. So, $40 press essentially. I get my lead from, usually, local tire shops, $40 for a bucket. You usually get about 120 pounds in a bucket, and around 80, 90 of that is lead after you sort it out, on average. Sometimes I go to eBay and I buy my lead, $75 for 50 pounds of already sorted wheel weights. A little bit higher than what you should be paying, but if you need it and ain't got it. The Lee 18 cavity double-aught buckshot mold 33 caliber. I paid $56 for mine, and the handles I paid $19.99 for them. $29.99 for a bottle of Longshot at my local sporting goods store. My friend Zach managed to find me some Blue Dot at a different store a couple hours away. $40. Kind of high, but you know, if you need it and ain't got it. Half-inch fiber cushion wads in any gauge are $10.99 from Ballistic Products, and you get 500 of them. And one more thing about the hauls, if you have a 10 gauge and you aren't reloading yet, save up your hauls. You get a lot of them in a very short amount of time, especially if you're a waterfowl hunter. Yeah, just save your hauls up, and you ain't got to pay for once fired or new hauls. This haul has already been deprimed and resized, but just for demonstration purposes, I went ahead and stuck a spit primer back in it just to show you how this press works. To do this, you need a mech resize ring, throw it right on top of your hull, a PVC pipe, about, 1.5 inches tall. It ain't gotta be that tall, but that's what I have. And just big enough to round to fit over a 10 gauge hole. Slide it right up in your depriming station. That's gonna resize it, but it will not deprime it. Go over to your repriming station. Knock the ring off most of the way. As you guys probably know if you have this press, high brass shells like this, it just doesn't work. This doesn't go down far enough to kick the ring back off. Even with 12 gauge shells, it just doesn't do it. So you got to push it off by hand, or grab something like this wad tamper here and just give it a couple smacks and it comes out. Just like that. So to get the primer out, you have 2 options here. Well, I do anyway. The way I was doing it before was taking the resize ring, setting the hole on it, just like that, and getting a long screwdriver and a hammer and just, punching the primer out that way. Set the screwdriver on the primer inside there, just beat it out. But my friend Jim sent me this bolt-on depriming punch for this press. It works for 10 and 12 gauge. You just kind of, set your hole in there and just like that, punches it right out. Now, of course, repriming is easy. I'm using a Shadat primer. Drop it right in the hole. Reprimed. The powder charge I'm using here is 42 grains of Blue Dot. If you want to use Longshot, 34 grains is the max charge. That's 1250 FPS for a 2.25 ounce load, 18 pellet double-aught, which is pretty respectable. Again, that's 42 grains of Blue Dot powder. Alright, there's our 42 grains. Let's double check that as always. Yep, we have 42. We're using the Ballistic Products BPD 10 wad, the ballistic pattern driver. This one is pre-slit. Using Gary Caskey's wad tamper. A 1/8 inch chunk of fiber cushion wad that, I cut down from the entire 1/2 inch piece. fiber cushion is in place. Now we need 18 pellets of 33 caliber double-aught buckshot. Guys, if you do this load with long shot and 34 grains, you need a 1/4 inch fiber cushion wad, not the 1/8 inch. I'm using my hard cast, tumbled and polished and powder coated pink double-aught buck here. 18 pellets comes up to 2.18 ounces, which is just under 2 1/4 ounces. With the buffer, that's going to be up to 2.25. We're going to use Ballistic Products mix number 47 buffer today, and I'll give you the total payload weight when I'm done here. And like always, I'm just covering the top row of pellets about halfway. Right there is where we need to be. The total payload weight is 2.25 even. And on top of that, we're just going to add a very, very thin piece of 10 gauge nitro card. These are $9.99 for 500 on Ballistic Products. That's going to help keep the buffer in and a little bit better crimp. Backstation is the 6-point. You want the point of the crimp facing you. Here's our pre-crimp. Looks pretty good. Alrighty. That looks pretty good to me. What about you guys? Here's the same thing in a Winchester hull, except this is 32 grains of long shot instead of 42 of blue dot. This load is running about 1150 FPS, and these Winchester hulls are a little bit shorter than the Federals. That's why I use the long shot instead. It takes up quite a bit less room than the blue dot does. So before I sign this video off, I just want to give you guys a little sneak peek of some upcoming content. Now, my friend Jim that I mentioned earlier in the video, a couple weeks ago, he sent me a barrel for my 10 gauge, the 36-inch barrel one. It is a turkey barrel, 23 inches long, so a lot shorter than that 36-inch barrel, and it's awesome. Now, a couple days ago, he sent me and Josh another barrel. This is an H&R Ultra Slug, 12 gauge. It has a rifled barrel, came with the scope, and hammer extension. This thing is awesome. I feel like it weighs even more than it does with the 10 gauge barrel on it, because I believe this is a 10 gauge barrel with a 12 gauge hole in it, so quite the chunky barrel. The advantage this gun has over the Maverick 88 with the rifled barrel that, Mr. Hollow Point sent us. Guys, thank you so much for sending us all this stuff. You really ain't got to do it, but we really, really appreciate this. This is awesome, and so is that other barrel. But anyway, the trigger in this gun is a lot lighter than that Maverick 88, so I feel like we should be a lot more accurate with it. And just by nature of this being a single shot, I think they are inherently a little more accurate than pumps and semi-autos are, because the lockup is the same every single time. And also, I'm really used to single shot, so this is just way more familiar than that Maverick 88 is to me. Just gonna throw this out here. If anybody watching this can remount a chamber on one of these Ultra Slugs to 3.5 inch, please get with me and let me know, and I'll send this out to you, and let's make it happen. This thing is accurate. We just stuck the scope on it and took 2 shots apiece up at the 30-yard range, like we always shoot at that range by the pond. And that stump we have sitting down there at 30 yards, both of us hit the stump. No issues at all. Now, of course, we still have to sight the gun in, obviously. We'll do it with the Lyman 525s. And the reason we're choosing the Lyman 525 is because I have a mold for it sitting here, as well as the 20 gauge pellet slug. So we pretty much have unlimited access to those. That's the reason why we're using those to sight it in. This may be a bit sacrilegious, but Mountain Lightning is way better than Mountain Dew. But anyway, we want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. We will get back to you. We have a Patreon for as low as $1 a month, and every penny we get goes right back into the channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. We have an Instagram now where we just post behind-the-scenes stuff and cool loads we come up with, things like that, sometimes what we do during the day. So if you guys want to go check that out, I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. But, other than that, take it easy, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.